Ladies and gentlemen, great projects just start with an idea. Somebody had to think about the Hoover Dam. Somebody had to think about the Lincoln Memorial or the Washington Monument or even the statue of the Marines raising the flag at Iwo Jima. Somebody had to have a kernel of an idea and say, this is a project we should do. But it just begins with an idea. As city manager, I don't have the right to put those ideas into reality. All I can do is describe the kernel of the idea. And that's what's happening today. I think it's a very exciting idea, and eventually these ideas will end up on the floor of City Council, and there'll be funding questions and things of that nature. But today, I invite you to use your imagination a little bit and participate in the forming of an idea. Because again, nothing happens unless somebody forms an idea, then tries to move that idea forward. This particular drawing is a picture of the West Branch Bridge as existed back in 1926 or so. But this picture of the bridge is one in which this bridge, which was constructed sometime around 1828, give or take a couple of years. Some of the records are a little bit sketchy. But the bridge right by Veterans Park, the one right across from the water tower, looked like this back in 1926 and back in 1928 when it was constructed. And you can see it's a covered bridge made out of a wooden structure. And some of you who are looking at this say, well, it looks unfamiliar because we've never seen that bridge. That's because it was torn down in 1946. So you'd have to remember that far back, 1946. But some of you will recognize it because right adjacent to the bridge are areas which it looks like the water was flowing through, activating some turbines. In fact, these elements right here, those elements you see on the far left, they're still in place, and you can see that today. So next time you're over there by the Shop and Save, because this is the angle from right over there by the edge of the parking lot by the Shop and Save, take a look at that bridge and try to imagine what it was back then. This drawing right here is what the bridge looks like today. You can see the cement stanchions right here, which appear to be where there may have been some internal turbines. And of course, this is what you get when you look at the bridge today. This picture was taken today. Kathy King went over there and took that picture this morning. You see where the water tower is. So, what's the idea and why are you here today? And Kevin, I'll ask you to help me unveil the main drawing. Okay. Careful. Ladies and gentlemen, this is that bridge. What was that bridge with a brand new design to turn that bridge into a covered bridge. Now, what's going to happen is Kevin Grippy from Smolin Engineering is going to talk a little bit about some of the things that are going on and some of the elements. And when you hear what the elements are, they're very exciting. Now, these are conceptual drawings. This is the concept. It's an idea. But we've had very good success in taking conceptual ideas and turning them into grants and dollars and getting things done in this town. And before I invite Kevin Grippy to say just a word or two to really get in the nitty-gritty of this idea, I want to say thank you to our county engineer, Randy Smith. And nobody knows about ideas being turned into a reality more than the county engineer. And if you want to see concrete and asphalt and real things that you can drive your car over or grab with your hands, it's because of the work of the county engineer. For just a couple of words, our county engineer, Randy Smith.
Good morning, everyone. I'd like to thank the city manager, Lynch, for the opportunity to be here today to address the crowd. I know this project came up approximately 6 months ago, and these are some of the first details I've heard about it this morning. I will say I was very enthused with the selection of Smolin Engineering. I've had the opportunity to work with them on several other projects. I know John Smolin was not able to personally be here today, but throughout the years, very well respected up in Ashtabula. If you followed his career up there, and I forget the number of bridges and some of the awards and the links and so forth of those structures, it's truly amazing. So I think you have the right firm certainly assisting you with this project, and I look forward to hearing more details about it moving forward. Thank you.
Thanks, Randy. A couple of elements I want to talk about. We're going to be getting into the cost of this in just a little bit, but I want to remind you of the track record of Newton Falls over the last 2.5 years when it comes to getting dollars and cents for infrastructure projects. There were a lot of people that doubted we would get money to remove the gas tanks at the property at Route 5 and 534, and we received a $250,000 grant, not reimbursable by the city, a pure grant, and that $250,000 has accomplished the removal of those tanks. This little courtyard out here, people said, you're never going to get the money to repair that beat-up courtyard. As you go by, you'll see what bad shape it's in. We received a grant of over $100,000. No matching dollars involved to take care of that. Those of you that had some concern whether we'd ever get the funds to take care of Commerce Park, that little paddling grant, we worked very hard and we received a grant for just north of $70,000, and we don't have to reimburse any of it. In the last 2.5 years, the city of Newton Falls has received more Ohio Public Works Commission grants and loans than any community of its size on a per capita basis than any community in the state of Ohio. Why am I telling you this? Because when you come up with a project and it's an idea, you eventually have to come up with funding. And we've been very successful in doing so in a way that doesn't cost our own taxpayers any dollars at all. The next speaker to talk about the details of this is Kevin Grippy, who's one of the project managers over at Smolin Engineering. But just so you understand Smolin Engineering, Smolin is considered the godfather firm of covered bridges in the world. Ashtabula is the #1 location of covered bridges. And Smolin Engineering has had their fingerprints on just about all of those and many other projects throughout the country. And so the brain power of those folks over at Smolin Engineering has really come up with something spectacular. And we'll talk about that aspect of it in just a moment. But to get into some of the nitty-gritty, the real person with the imagination to create something, along with the rendering artist, Ralph Bacon, who's here as well, from Smolin Engineering. Think of it this way. The next man that comes up as it relates to the covered bridge, it's the same kind of speech Walt Disney gave when he started talking to people in California about his dream. Kevin Grippy, would you step forward, please?
Thank you, Dave, for that kind introduction. I need to bring you home and speak to my wife a little. I'd appreciate that. To clarify Dave's nice words, John Smolin has designed over 250 bridges, and of those 250 bridges, we're approaching about 70 covered bridges. He is the person back in 1968 when there was a craze going on throughout the country to tear out authentic timber bridges because they were expensive to replace, and they created some nuisances with maintenance. He's a fellow who said, no, we're going to stop tearing out covered bridges. We're going to rehabilitate covered bridges, in fact, build new ones. And when he did that, unbeknownst to John, he changed the economy. He changed the economy of Ashtabula County. Overnight, people heard about him saving these covered bridges, and they started coming from all over. And overnight, a very small winery industry that was active in Ashtabula County sort of grew up. And now, on any given weekend, you can find charter buses from all over the country who just invade Ashtabula County. And they not only just come on holidays and weekends, they come all the time. And the average tourist, the average member of the touring public now spends $100 upon every visit. And it's been a transformational experience in our county, and it's something we've seen in other communities where we've designed covered bridges. I want to tell you a little bit about this remarkable structure that we've come up with some preliminary concepts on. Dave asked us to get creative and to come up with and to put into action all those ideas we hoped and dreamed to do with other bridges but never could. And that's what this bridge is all about. I just can't contain myself when I think about it and when I talk about it. And I want to go over some of the one-of-a-kind features we're proposing for Newton Falls. And I think there's a handout. You guys all have that? All right, great. All the bridges in the country, for some reason, are red. There's a couple bridges out there, covered bridges, that are green, and a handful that are gray, like your bridge. But there's no covered bridge that we know of that's blue. So we're proposing making this robin's eggs blue exterior with white trim and a silver-colored metal roof. Let me back up. The bridge will be about 200 feet long. It's going to be 75 feet wide. It will cover the existing structure. We're not removing the existing structure. This will be a canopy. This will be an enclosure over the existing structure. There's lots of benefits of that. Namely, ODOT should be very pleased because whenever you cover something, it lasts a whole lot longer. And, you know, the UV, the sunlight is a terrible thing. Not only that, but salt. Road salt destroys concrete steel covered bridges. So this covered structure will extend the covered bridge's life for many, many years. It will also have a 16-foot plus vehicle clearance, which will be significant, and it'll have 8-foot wide sidewalks. Getting back to the uniqueness of the bridge. These are ideas I've always wanted to implement and never could, and we're sharing the best we have with you. It's going to have a 15-foot wide upper level observation walkway, and that's going to be at the peak of the gable top of the bridge. So you'll be able to walk up the bridge by way of a spiral staircase or an elevator, and you'll be able to walk the distance and breadth of the bridge. The bridge will make a wonderful spot for parties. In Pittsburgh, they always close off the bridges in Pittsburgh and have street parties. Well, I can easily see this bridge being closed off for wedding receptions or any kind of party. And the second floor walkway, the observation walkway, will be a highlight of that experience. The bridge is going to have a spire with a functional clock, a weather vane on top of it also. Whenever I go to bridge sites, it always happens, I'm the guy with a tie and I'm wearing a watch. Usually nobody wears a watch anymore, and everybody invariably always asks me, I'm not wearing a watch today, by the way, which is coincidental. But invariably everybody asks me, what time is it? And I have to tell them what time it is. And all of our communities at one time, 50 years, 100 years ago, we all had central clocks. I've not seen one here in town, but this will be a great place to put a centralized analog clock where everybody will see it. And as you enter the city, as you enter Newton Falls, that's the first thing you see when you come in, when you cross that bridge, with that beautiful spire with a clock. I've always wanted to do a clock on a covered bridge. There's not one anywhere in the country, not one anywhere in the world that I know of. We're going to put a vegetative roof on this covered bridge, a green roof. And there's going to be 4 of them. They're going to be 95 feet by 8 feet wide. They're going to have any number of local plantings, but also just wildflowers, so the roof will be green. Along the upper chord, the lower chord, the upper chord, and the walkway, there will be ironwork with corbels, which will be designed for hanging flowers, and there'll be 40 of those. We plan to generate power for the bridge through hydroelectricity from the Mahoning River, and that will power all the appurtenances, so it's not going to cost the village taxpayers anything to run the power on the bridge. We think that's very possible with a lot of the new technology, especially that's coming out of Japan. The second level of this roof is going to have a clear polycarbonate tub on a second level that is going to be home to a water fountain that's going to draw water from the Mahoning River up to the top of the bridge and spread out over the bridge and cascade down each side of the bridge as 8 individual waterfalls that'll go into the river. And by the way, I would be remiss if I didn't give credit where credit's due. The person who came up with these ideas is Ralph Bacon. They're all his ideas, not mine. So these 8 integrated waterfalls will come down into the river. And there's nothing we like more than human beings than the sound of falling water and to be around falling water. The internal walkway will have a cylindrical custom ironwork support feature that's going, and you can see this on the handout. It's going to be a custom feature that is going to support the clear tub and the clear skylight. And this custom fence cylindrical feature is going to be an ironwork structure, and we're going to design into it all the names of Newton Falls Pass, all the former leaders, all the businesses that came and have gone. We're going to talk about the future dreams. It's all going to be in this cylindrical feature that's going to support the tub that's going to be in the center of the bridge that's going to spill water over into the falls. And you can see a rendering in your packet. The premium features, these features have been done before, but they're certainly not common on every bridge. This bridge will have a fixed audio system, so when you have those parties, when you have those receptions on the second floor walkway or the first floor, you'll have an audio system. It'll have a security system, so everybody who steps foot on that bridge will be videoed or filmed, so that will cut down on vandalism. It'll have 6 observation platforms or bump outs where people can stand and watch the waterfalls and watch the river. It'll have a fire suppression system. And what I'm most excited about, actually, it's going to have a programmable color-changing light system for both illuminating the interior and the exterior of the bridge. We just created plans for this down in for a covered bridge in Holmes County, and for the interior lighting, which is spectacular. I also spent 20 years of my life raising money in Ashtabula to light the Ashtabula Harbor Lift Bridge. And lighting that bridge, lighting public infrastructure, does remarkable things for a community. Everybody says it's what turned around the Ashtabula Harbor, and I believe lighting this bridge canopy here in Newton Falls will do wonders for your community. So you see the rendering here in the handout that's been passed out. We've come up with a name, and this is just a starting point, but the name would be Skylight Falls Covered Bridge. Skylight Falls Covered Bridge. And we think that's just a superb name. It says what it is. How much would this cost? It'd be a one-of-a-kind, truly unique, year-round destination. People will come from all over because as Americans, we want to go places and do things. We just don't want to go places and look at things. So this will almost be an interactive sort of structure. It's $2.5 million. That's my estimate. It's a padded estimate, as I told Dave. And it also includes the outrageous cost of wood now, and we do believe the wood prices will be going down significantly. But it'll be in that neighborhood. There are going to be many, many naming opportunities on this bridge, so we will be soliciting corporations, private individuals, foundations, anybody who's interested in having their name as part of this, and I think there are some great things going on in this area in the next few years, especially down the road, where we can get corporate sponsorships for this. Are there any questions? Oh, okay.
That's right. This is the, stay up here if you can. I think, Kevin, we want to take some questions that people might have at this time. If anybody has some engineering questions. Yes, ma'am.
This is completely off subject, but if we can get those grants for all of those other things, what's wrong with the community center?
Yeah, well, it is off subject, but I've been working very closely with Heritage Accord. There'll be some meetings and press conferences like that with Heritage Accord related to grants that I think we'll be getting for that structure as well. there are millions of dollars that can be raised. Some of these naming rights that we talked about, Kevin's got a lot of history as it relates to that. And again, we've had a great batting average. And as you know, Heritage Court basically went into hiatus until the COVID rules got relaxed in April. So, as a matter of fact, they have some events coming up towards the end of this year that are really very exciting. Questions regarding this project? Yes?
So we already have a covered bridge, and it's one of the few beauties that we have in this town, and it's also, I believe, one of the only ones that actually have a walking access.
Sure.
Okay, we're also known for our fireworks. This contraption here would just go right through the parade route. I mean, plus if you have receptions on top, you're taking away from area businesses like Robbie Lee's and the cover bridge in itself. If you have receptions on top of that, I don't think it's going to be well received by the community, honestly, because we're a quaint, quiet town. We like our community. We're known for our fireworks, our bike shows, our car shows. This is not New York or Cleveland.
Go ahead.
Okay. Those are great concerns, but this would enhance the fireworks because you can just imagine the pictures with this bridge and the water tower and the fireworks going off in the foreground. The pictures would just be stupendous. As far as taking away from receptions, I don't think this would hurt that at all. It's going to be a smaller area, at least the walkway would be, and you wouldn't have that for a wedding reception. It would be for a smaller event. And at the lower level, I know in Pittsburgh, they found that this is a great attraction for small conventions. So if you're looking for a small convention that wants to have a big room, a big spectacular room, a really neat room for an event, this would be it. And of course, you know, as the water rises, everybody benefits. And that's what this would do.
Yeah. Look, as I said, every great project starts with an idea. Some people love this idea right now today. Some might warm up to it. Some might not like it right away, such as yourself. That's okay. That's why we're here to have this discussion, to introduce this idea. A lot of great ideas die in infancy. Some have to be nurtured along. It'll be up to this community to determine, do they want to strangle this little baby right now or see where it goes? Other questions? Comments? Yes, sir, way in the back.
We have enough trucks hit bridges over on by Sable Lot. How tall would this thing even be? Would it be able to support trucks going under it? 16 vehicles?
Yeah, here, we'll address that question right now. It was designed with the idea of that question in mind. Go ahead.
Yeah, it's 16 feet 3/4 inches high, and that should exceed the state minimum by a foot. And there should be plenty of room. But this is just a preliminary concept, and we could elevate it a little bit higher if that's what the community wants.
Sure. For the state. One other thing I want to mention is that structurally, this bridge that was constructed back in 1946, structurally, it's the same bridge underneath. So, and that's an important factor when we're dealing with, because a lot of the places we have to go include the Ohio Department of Transportation. The whole theory was to create a design that A, didn't interfere with the infrastructure, and B, did not limit in any way the current traffic, which includes all the big trucks you're talking about coming off the state route. Other questions or comments? Yes, ma'am.
You said that bridge is from 1946?
Yeah.
Will it be able to sustain the weight of the weight
Sure.
limit of
Well,
everything?
Yeah, hold on a second.
It's our understanding that the original timber cover bridge, a double barrel cover bridge was there, was removed in 46. I think this might be the second bridge, steel concrete bridge that's been in this location. If you look at it, it was recently either rehabilitated. Maybe Randy can answer this question better than me.
I don't recall the date.
Believe me, there's no steel concrete bridge in America from 46 that's still around. They're all gone because they just simply, road salt wears them all out unless you waste out.
Yeah, the weight infrastructure will remain the same.
Yeah.
We're not going to mess with that. Questions or comments further? Yes.
Why do you feel this is a good fit for our community?
Look, I think anything that makes Newton Falls a destination bucket list location is good for our community. The existing covered bridge is actually on the list of a number of people throughout the country. They come into town, they like to see it, and what's unique about this is to make it a target, is make it a bridge that there's not another one like it in the entire planet Earth. That drawing back there has these waterfalls coming off the roof, observation decks, lighting, creating something which is so spectacular in nature that somebody visiting from China is going to say, I've got to come to Newton Falls. And coincidentally, go to the Covered Bridge restaurant or Robbie Lee's or to any of our other fine institutions, to the Fieldview Acres over there on Broad Street or the Subway or anything else. The point is attracting people to a community by its nature increases commerce, things that put you on the map, so to speak. One of a kind from anywhere in the entire planet. That's why when I spoke to Kevin about this, Kevin said, well, I've got some creative ideas that are coming from Mr. Bacon, but these are really unique concepts. And the more he said it was something that didn't occur anywhere else on Earth, the more I said, go man, go, green light. Let's bring the rest of the planet into Newton Falls in such a positive way. Other questions or comments? Yes, Mr. Hanson.
Yeah, I have a couple of buildings downtown. We have a pretty high vacancy rate. Could you elaborate on how the bridge in Pittsburgh and in the Ashtabula area help commerce and maybe would help the people that have rentals and also kind of bolster up and fix up the downtown area and get people in there?
It's a great question, and the answer is food. Everybody who goes to look at these covered bridges, they travel great distances, they take a look at the covered bridges, say, all right, honey, what next? Let's find a restaurant, let's go eat. We want to eat here, we don't want to go somewhere else. So the restaurants will hum, and it is, again, as I mentioned earlier, it's not tied to seasons. In fact, a lot of these people who have made their lives, I'll just say it, their retirement years, all about visiting covered bridges, they will come in all the different seasons, which you have. It's just not one season. They'll come 3-4 times a year from New England to visit these covered bridges. It's just remarkable what it's done to restaurants and for wineries. These people like to have a drink, and it helps. And they have a lot of disposable income, these tourists, and that's what we're trying to go after. And they want, again, as Americans, we all want something unique. That's just our nature. We like different, and this will be different. There'll be nothing like it anywhere.
Okay, any other questions or comments? Yes, sir.
So with this new project, do you think it's going to really substantially increase tourism and visitors to our town that would justify the cost?
Well, let's talk about that in a couple of ways. First of all, the answer is yes. I think it will justify the cost. But because of its unique nature, we anticipate being able to get funding from a lot of sources, the state of Ohio, and organizations that want to be part of this unique thing. If you're going to the most unique covered bridge on the planet Earth, McDonald's Corporation, Coca-Cola, General Motors, you name it, they tend to gravitate towards those things that are one of a kind. So when Kevin was talking about naming rights, we're talking about being able to raise substantial dollars just from the private sector for people that want to be associated with the only covered bridge in the world to have several waterfalls cascading over, a green, self-sustaining, and let's face it, sustainability is one of the bywords of success in marketing in the world today. There are just so many unique ways in which this can make itself run to some extent. So the answer is yes. All right, folks, we are going to adjourn. I say thank you. Out in the hallway, there's a box lunch for every single person here. Again, we appreciate Pam Pretty and the folks over the Broad Street Station Cafe for having prepared those. So please feel free to grab a lunch. I think there's a beverage there with it as well. And thank you for coming to the Covered Bridge City, Newton Falls, Ohio. Have a great day, everybody. get in, Mark?
Oh, you're kidding. I just think that would be awesome.
So